wonderful Elizabeth Barden, beautiful Elizabeth Barden. She is in Pringle Bay, South Africa. So beautiful. And she is part of the Storm Earth movement, which is amazing. And she also does kind of sacred spaces trips. That's how I would describe it. Would you describe it that way, Elizabeth?
Yeah, absolutely. Describing it really well.
And do you want to explain like what started the Storm Earth movement for you?
Yeah, I just always felt that we could, I suppose, give more attention to the earth. But this is a few years ago, and I think things really have changed.
Yes.
A lot since then. And I was thinking of a name, and then I thought Storm, and why Storm? So I got it stands for Speak to Our Real Mother.
Oh, I like that.
Which of course is the earth. So I suppose it's like, who is our real mother? We have mothers in different ways, physical mothers, but also our real mother, like the Native Americans, I think, always say. Our real mother is actually Mother Earth.
Yes.
And
yeah,
to kind of remember that, and also somehow to speak, for us to communicate with her more. And that's really, I suppose, what my whole business is about helping people to communicate with the earth energetically, to become more intuitively aware of energy, and the places, earth places. So it's that communication with her in a less obvious way.
Yeah, and I think
the unseen way.
I think we've gotten away from that. And I think that's why I feel like right now, so much is getting stirred up, so much is being awakened in all of us in different ways. We're seeing things that we've been in for thousands and thousands of years that haven't served us because we have gotten away from really having that conversation with Mother Earth. Like where I am in Georgia, there's just a lot of native, like the Indians and, just a lot of energy here. They had one of the two earliest civilizations here, not too far, and they have like an Indian mound burial ground. And it's a beautiful piece of land. It's by a river. And anyway, I get guided to go to these places. And I don't know about you, but, and I'll just explain, we met in Australia. So, and we just immediately had a kinship.
Absolutely.
That we've probably had many lifetimes.
A good moment to reconnect.
Yeah. And you said, oh, nice to see you again when we met. And I was like, I just said yes, because it was like, yeah, I kind of feel like we've been in this space before.
Like we know each other.
Yeah. And we're both very playful, and we both like to
had some champagne, which was great. Sparkling wine, champagne.
Yeah, lots of champagne, and that was
life is about having fun.
And Australia is such a beautiful landscape of so many energies and things.
Yeah,
it felt like it was for me like it was almost like going back to 1970s America, like when everybody was friendly to each other and we all knew each other, and we had more of a connection to earth. At that time, my family had moved here to Georgia, and we lived in Stone Mountain, which was there's lots of magical properties to the mountain. And I always asked the question, like logically you would say that was where the best schools were at the time. But I think energetically, there's so many reasons why I spent a lot of time around there, and I still get guided to go back here and there. So do you find that? Oh, okay. So I'm going to, instead of hopping around, because I can.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it more.
I wanted to ask you about, because you talk a lot about Mayan cycles. And this is fascinating to me and you do so if you want to check Elizabeth out, go to Storm Earth Movement. You can also check her out at Elizabeth Barden. And then you also do the travel, correct? To the different sacred spaces around the world, which is Oh, amazing. And the pictures she posts have an energy in themselves. You will get messages and things, and it will unhinge things
Yeah.
probably in you that you didn't realize. So go to check her out, and she's on all the social media as well.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
Yeah.
but
And, Carol, I just wanted to interrupt there and say, like those photographs, that's actually almost like the communication
yes,
we can have with the earth.
yes,
By looking at a beautiful photograph, it's like looking at a beautiful artwork. It speaks to you, but it's not really the photograph, it's the earth speaking through the photograph.
and the energy is
so
just palpable. Like
amazing. Yeah, different
yeah,
ways of communicating, even by looking just at a photograph of a beautiful space in nature. We can communicate with the earth. We don't, even like at this time, sometimes it's hard to get outside or travel, but by connecting with a photograph, we have so much available to us that we actually just haven't been aware of, maybe.
yeah,
Or to start to become more aware of it and use it.
I think people are starting to, I think people are, I think you're a conduit to that. I think people are starting to open up to that. I've gotten for like probably about 2 years, because I kind of get what I call whispers, and I kept getting beyond words, like beyond words.
Exactly.
And now that we're going through all this, people getting taken down across arenas where we can speak actually around the world, it's kind of interesting that you can't take away telepathy, and you can't take away
exactly
the energy of beyond words, which is why I think
what
doing is so important, because there's this in my heart just went there's a way that we speak to each other that is well beyond that.
Absolutely. And to tap more into that as well is to use it all, on all the different levels, like the physical level of maybe being with the earth, but with each other, but also to know that we're not just dependent on that.
Yeah.
It's wonderful and important, but there's so many other, and telepathy especially. I think that's really part of the future. And, you're talking about the Mayans. And for me, that's part of that civilization that's so fascinating for me, that you get with many civilizations, ancient civilizations, is that, they had these enhanced abilities that they would use that was normal for them. And that we've kind of almost forgotten. But I'm totally fascinated to start pursuing that, because I just think these are tools for us, to cope with life now, with how the world is presenting itself to us now, and also where the earth is, accelerating a vibration. So these ancient civilizations, I've always just been drawn to them. And I feel that they hold, especially if you go and visit the sites, or you look at a photograph even, to receive its information. For me, energy is really information, that we can almost integrate or receive or read in some way. It's communication, yeah.
Yeah.
So I love the Mayans. It's funny because I never really thought. I have to tell you a funny, interesting story quickly, which involves America. So I did a workshop in San Francisco, and it was the first time that I actually attended, like a spiritual workshop or whatever you would call it. And I sat next to somebody, and I didn't know him from a bar of soap. I can't even recall what he looked like. And this was in the 90s. And he looked at me, we were talking about something, and it's nothing to do with the Mayans. It was to do with metaphysics or, crystals or something. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, you must read the Mayan Factor, the book. And I even wrote it down, faithfully, never heard of it. We were the Mayans, I was totally ignorant. And never did it, ever. Forgot about it. But somehow remember the story. And then I started going to visit the sacred sites in Mexico and Guatemala, after I kind of went to Peru, the Incas. I felt very drawn to explore a kind of an allied civilization. And I just remembered, wow, there was the clue 20 years ago, but I wasn't ready to hear it. But I got it in America. So maybe the telepathy is good there.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny the things that will show up. And I find, like we were joking about synchronicity, it's like just things like books that I bought years ago, and I'm in my kind of library room doing this thing. Like they'll just pop out and I'll go, oh, you know, I bought that book like 20 years ago and I never read it. And it's pertinent to whatever question I might have asked or thing that I was looking at or kind of what's going on in the world right now. And I'm like, isn't that funny how
I get goosebumps. Yeah. But you are very, very in tune. I mean, you're so psychic and intuitive. Yeah.
And I think it's
one of the greatest gifts.
I think for you as well. I mean, you have amazing gifts with all that, and you're always spot on with what's going. Like whenever I'm thinking, what is really going on right now, you have it explained so beautifully by the earth standards.
That's wonderful
with the earth. But what I realized is we're all multidimensional beings, and we're not just in one dimension at one time. We're going, a lot of us are, not everybody, but most of us are going all through these dimensions.
Yeah.
And we have these capabilities of really creating or changing anything. But what has kind of happened is that our energies have gotten hijacked. And I've been looking at that a lot over the last about year or so, really intensely, in that because it was kind of like, oh, you know, what I used to do to create is kind of not really happening anymore. Or I feel like I don't want to be connected with people, or I don't want to be like, I used to be out in nature all the time. My childhood was pretty much, you know, we lived across the street from a park, and I was there was a lake and a creek, and I was always doing something in there and hiking and all that stuff. But it's like, I realize when I think about that now and look back at what Mother Earth was telling me, and I was a kid, so I hadn't been, you know, hijacked yet.
You were still open,
still open to it, but we can. The thing that we laugh about is like you can't silence telepathy, and you can't, you know. So there's that speaking that we're doing with Mother Earth, and also people that are in tune with this and with each other. That goes beyond just picking up the phone and talking or saying something on Facebook.
And can't be controlled. Yeah,
it can't be controlled because it's
a very different dimension.
Yeah, they're doing it in this third dimension reality where it's all about control and reverse energies, and they don't realize we're in all these other dimensions as well. So there's so much that we're doing, and I kind of get we're more in the fifth right now. And beyond.
And the possibilities of that, you know, it's like phenomenal. The future possibilities of all of that.
It is. And I think,
you know, what we can create with it, for me, is so exciting.
It is.
It's so much fun.
So I wanted to ask you, and I'm sorry we got off track with that, but with the Mayan cycle. So we're still in the Mayan moon cycle of January 10th through February 6th. Can you speak to a little bit of that?
Yeah, so that's the big moon cycle. So, you know, the big thing with the Mayans is that you have many cycles within cycles within cycles. So it's almost like wheels turning at different speeds and frequencies. So the most sacred one is called the Tzolk'in, which is the spiritual calendar of 260 days. And that's, you know, divided into different sub-cycles, as it were. So the most basic one, and probably the most important or the easiest one to follow, is what they call a wave spell, which is 13 days. And we actually be going into a new one today, which I'm just about to do a post. It's called the Yellow Sun. for the next 13 days. Then you have another cycle, which is called this 28-day, it's a moon cycle or a month cycle. So, I can go on for hours about this. You'll have to stop me. But my big thing about the Mayan is that, our calendar is so completely archaic and out of date, our Gregorian calendar that we follow that says today is, Saturday, the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us absolutely no information, really. So, the calendar actually, it runs our lives. We think it's a very superficial thing, but it actually goes to the heart of frequencies. And it's very disrupted. There's no, in nature, there are beautiful cycles and sub-cycles. So it seems like chaos, but it's not actually chaos. There's natural order in the chaos. But our calendar is destructive chaos. So, you have 1 month is this, 1 month is that. It's been changed, not because of any relationship to nature, but by the Romans, and before that, the Babylonians, I think, and before that, even maybe Atlantis, where
I would have to say that
pure,
got hijacked as well.
Yeah. And it's been human, it's based on human priorities, human thought, which is always lacking and only sees a small picture.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mayans, really, in a way, it's almost like saying to find the natural cycle of life again and having these cycles in it. So the calendar is, so the 28-day cycle is, if you take the time of our calendar year, our sun cycle for the earth to go around the sun physically is 365 days, right? Which is our normal calendar. Mm-hmm. So it's divided in these 12 months, which is very irregular. Some of it's 30, some it's 31, some of it's even 28 or 29. It's kind of been messed with. So if you divide that 365 by 28, which is the moon number, the kind of almost the cycle of the moon. The cycle of the moon is 28 days, 28 and something. You get 13 months of 28 days. And 13 is the feminine number. So we're very much moving into 13 out of 12. 12 is the old masculine. Not the true masculine, but the old masculine. So we're moving from a 12 to a 13, which is including the divine feminine again, or the moon. So if you put 13 months of 28 days, it gives you 364 days. And then they have 1 day, which they call the day out of time, which is between the old year and the new year. And that gives you 365 days. So it's a far superior system, of having a calendar, for us to have 13 months instead of 12 months. And instead of these 30, 31, 29, 28 days, to have 28 days each month, 13 of them moon months, actually. So the calendar, that moon cycle that's ending in February is the 28th moon. And I think it's, I forget now, but it holds certain, obviously, frequencies of that period. But it's reminding us, the big thing with the Mayan for me is reminding us of the true frequency of what they call 1320, which is based on the cycles of nature. Mm-hmm. And our existing calendar is based on the frequency of 1260, which is the 12 months and the 60 minutes in a day, in an hour. And it's an irregular program, the 1260. And it's destruction. And it's actually also, in a way, almost represents materialism. It goes to the heart of all things. And what it says is time is money. So it's only linked to a very superficial prerogative that the Romans had, which is they linked the calendar to the collection of taxes. So the calendar was structured to say when you needed to pay your taxes. It had no relationship to say even when the crops would come in and when you were able to pay. It was all like the Roman Empire, for example, in our latest, the most recent version of it, is what the Romans wanted, to have the money. So the mantra is time is money, whereas the 1320 of the Mayans say, no, time is art.
Yes. I feel like that's what we're moving back into. And
exactly.
That's where I feel like lots of people are up in arms or stressed over that or whatever. But it's like, if you really lean into it, it's really our natural thing. I feel like, I say that things have gotten hijacked. I think that's where they just put a small change in, but it makes
exactly.
the destructive part. They did that in music as well. Like they took the Solfeggio scale and they made a couple changes to it, and now it's more of a destructive vibrations of sound, and
it's defective.
Yeah,
there's no harmony in it.
We naturally know the difference, but and I say we could have a whole other conversation with that. I'm just going to say generally things have been hijacked, and it's like little things here and little things there, and they don't, you don't really, might not even notice it unless you're astute. But when you catch it, it's like, that's why we are where we are in the world, and we a shift of this energy back to those natural capacities, like you're saying with the earth and everything else. That just makes my heart go, wah, is really our natural state. We know we haven't been in our natural state, and so getting out of nature and really connecting.
And life is easy, it's effortless.
Yes.
It's no longer struggle.
Yes.
That is the big thing.
And it's, we put the intention out there, the heart-centered intentions out there, and they come back to us however manyfold. It's like, it's you know the difference. Your heart feels it. Your heart feels it.
Absolutely. And it's the heart, as you say, the frequency of the heart is really the natural harmonic. And like the Mayan calendar is reflecting that, because the heart is the natural harmonic that's synchronized to the earth, it's synchronized to the planets, to our solar system, to the stars. Everything is working together. It's in harmony. So if we have a calendar that's also in harmony, it's like we start to function more in harmony, because the calendar is such a programming device. It rules our lives.
Yes. So much.
We don't actually realize the power of a calendar. A calendar is massive. You and I, everybody on this planet is, daily referring to this very simple thing called a calendar and making choices based on that.
And what's funny is, like, I found, and you tell me for you, and I don't know if anybody else who might be listening to this later, is I lose time. Like I
love that.
I don't even have as much of a frame of reference for that anymore. It's like,
that's the new way. I love it. Yeah. Let's do that.
I think we can, and I get that when I was diving in and looking at the kind of the messing with of everything, I realized, like, time is a construct that really isn't truly real.
Yeah.
It's actually space is where we are.
Yeah.
But then again, time, like you said, like the calendar, it runs our lives.
Yeah.
So if it was
very interesting.
If it was just a small change we've been messed with, can we just receive that small change back and choose for our sovereign being, self, and energy across all dimensions for any place that we've ever had to deal with this, and especially when this got put into place, we can choose beyond it. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Absolutely.
Can we choose beyond it?
And it's so true what you say. It's about choosing beyond it, but it's almost for us to wake up and become aware of those small changes that are actually massive changes.
Yes. It's like,
and it's like we getting to that as well. Very importantly for me is like, even for myself, I'm starting to become more aware of what is, so that I can see it for what it is, and I can see what other choices are available to me. But I often also think of it in terms of music. It's very much, it's like a sound that's slightly off,
yeah,
and we getting back to the new sound or the true sound.
yes,
And like you're saying with the heart, it's almost like we know, you can feel it. Something, it just feels right. You don't even need to know why. It just instinctively, intuitively feels aligned and easy. It's just ease,
yes,
It's easy. It's not difficult, hard, heavy. Yeah.
yes. So what's been coming to me, and maybe I don't know, this might be something where we could play together, is I
Yeah.
was going to do like almost like a 30 to 60-day experiment of unplugging from everything that's not your natural thing in Earth. Like, what if you
Yeah.
unplug from all of it for 30 days? What could that create for the world? And what awareness could it create? Because, like we said, they seem like tiny shifts, but they've actually had
They're
immense,
massive.
massive
Yeah.
changes where people are kind of like, all right, I was told to do this, this, and this my whole life, and this really hasn't shown up. So whatever was promised has not come to fruition.
Yeah.
So what, and those that aren't awake aren't asking that question of like, well, why did, what is that? What, that it didn't show?
What is that? Yeah, exactly.
Like, is that, okay,
Yeah.
maybe that's a control system. You could say it's the matrix. I like to call it mind tricks. It's like, where we're, where you can kind of, your body knows the difference. Your being
Yeah.
difference between the energy of something that's simulated and something that's natural. And that's where
Yeah.
Mother Earth is such a huge contribution to where
Yeah.
when we can choose to go back to it, not really go back to it because it's already been there. It's always been there. We've always had that connection. We've just kind of forgotten.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, the body is really our biggest connection to the earth. It
Yeah.
is the earth. I mean, it's our earth element.
Yes.
So for me, at this time, especially, it's giving us an opportunity to really focus and become aware of our bodies and look after our bodies and listen to our bodies. The bodies are really stepping up and saying, hey, and that's really the earth stepping up. It's the body is part of our material, physical being, which is the earth. So if we look after the body, we're looking after the earth. She's the body. She's this element.
Absolutely.
That we've incarnated as. So
we come from that and we go back from that.
Yeah.
Really,
and it's that simple, is to just start listening to it. And I mean, I find even for me, there are levels of listening and communicating also with my body.
Yeah.
And in a way, getting that from the earth, like when I'm at sacred sites, I mean, most of the information that I get is actually from my body. My body would, when I was living in the UK, in Cornwall, which is the West Coast in the UK, I would go to the stone circles. And at that stage, I actually didn't really think I had a great particular earth connection. And that's in a way almost where my earth connection physically became very activated. And I would go to these stone circles and start to feel these amazing sensations in my body. And I would go, wow, what is that? And I started to learn to trust it and also receive information from my body. And in fact, I think very often that's the most accurate.
Yes.
So I would go into a place and I would feel nothing. And I would say, okay, well, this is not really a place for me to be. And then I would go to another place and my body would feel really energized, or, the different kind of things would happen. So the body is an amazing, almost barometer, or what would you call it?
Yeah.
To get information. and also to these earth places, like the sacred sites of the ancient people, they were very high vibration. So when you go there, you would actually have this tune up and feel tremendously better or more healthy or energized.
Yes. And just in like pictures, it can come through as well. Like you can feel the energy of that. I mean, there's nothing that can describe the contribution that is. And I
Yeah.
think that the more that we can be open to that awareness, because there is a simplicity to it. There is
Yeah.
a heart space to it.
Totally.
Our hearts have really been shut down with these slight changes of energies that have come in. And so
Yeah.
when we can
Yeah.
into, and that's why I love the beautiful photos that you share. It's kind of just like looking at them as a remembrance.
Yeah, it's a remembrance. I love that.
Yeah, it's in a remembrance of,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like and we have capacities that we have. Some of them we've tapped into, a lot of them we haven't, that are there for us, that are based on simplicity. And so that's kind of where I kind of check in and go, is this divine or is this not? Because if it's, there's 256 steps to do whatever, no. Is there one choice over here? Okay, yeah. It's like,
Oh, I love that. Yeah, exactly.
and
That's always,
yeah,
I suppose that's the heart for me. Hey, the heart just knows.
the
And
heart knows.
it's actually easy and simple. It's complex, but it's simple at the same time.
Yes.
It's profound but simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's for us, it's almost like we've been so conditioned to believe that's not important or somehow valuable. It has to be hard. Things have to be difficult. But yeah, no. And to follow the synchronicity, I mean, the Mayans speak a lot about that too, about it's not to, like you were saying, like you get almost, you forget about time. That's for me where we're moving into, is that there's just a synchronicity of knowing that if you're in the flow, you will just naturally harmonize and be on time or have the right meeting. It's not something you have to focus on or work at. If you just follow synchronicity in the flow, everything is just easy. And the thing is, for me, the most important thing I think about it is, and what I love about going to the different places, earth places, is the magic of it. Let's bring more fun and magic into life. And that's when you were saying we live in different dimensions, to get out of this just one-dimensional living that is truly, for me, feeling like, I'm dead. There's just no inner, it's so not inspiring to be there.
No, it's not living.
It is just slavery. So complete boring.
It's slavery. I don't feel like it's living, it's slavery. And the thing that we can, that I know is that when we're in that joyness space, when we're in that love space, we can't be messed with to the extent that when we're conscious about it and we say, oh, that energy over here doesn't, really feel right, but this one over here,
it's so powerful and strong. Hey,
if you go to the head, it will send you off into la la land, and then you're unconscious and you're not seeing it. When you go from this space right here and just know that's your GPS. Like, in your heart, like that's where that statement probably came, like, in your heart. That's where we come from, and that's what's been messed with a bit. So just connecting to these spaces, and there's so many beautiful ones, even whenever I am guided to look at something, which I'm sure you are, because you're very connected with all of that. It's like you're guided, or you might have, like you said, you went to the Stones and you weren't really sure, and then or
Yeah.
United States and you get guided to a book or this or that, it's like, go with that. If that's
Yeah.
light in your heart and expansive in your heart, like that's your body guiding you. Our body a lot of times is much smarter than we can be at times.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's that easy. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm listening because, it's so great to be reminded. It's like different levels of really just, finding connection, And when we connect it, we don't feel so alone, because I sense, for me, the hardest space is when I feel really alone, or disconnected from others or from myself.
Well, ultimately, that's where that interference
is,
Yeah, that's exactly. I felt like that a lot. And I think that's where that interference can come in even greater.
Yeah, totally.
And so when we can just go, no, really like connection, because I'm a Libra and connection is very important to me.
Yeah.
So I know when I'm pulling away from people, like some of it's awareness. Some people I might not want to be around. That's just awareness. But most of the time, I really, truly want to be connected with most people. And when
have that heart connection, isn't it?
Yeah, when you're getting the opposite kind of information, that's that over there. Like I'll just call that over there because it's not from here. It's manufactured. It's like almost like a tinny type energy. It's not that authentic, real energy that we are.
No.
The gift of being. And it's not, and all this distortion that tells us that it's not a gift is, I'm sorry, it's just BS. And that's where getting connected with the earth, because it has that, even though it has been messed with a bit, it's really, the earth will correct.
Yeah, totally.
It's seen in many areas and has been going on. But when we look at the amount of just sacred spaces that are still out there, it either physically go visit, tap into the energy of, like there's an immense energy there that is beyond words. It's beyond words.
Totally. And I think as you're talking, what's also, for me, such a powerful aspect of this connection with the earth, or with ourselves, but just connection, is beauty.
Yes.
And, say, for example, like Machu Picchu is an amazing place, why? For many reasons. But for me, it's its absolute beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to believe anything necessarily, or, it's so unifying because you just stand there. And because it's so connected to the heart frequency as well, and has this harmonic of beauty, which is actually the heart as well. Everything is divinely, it's perfection.
Mm-hmm.
You just immediately feel this connection. You're taking into like a different frequency or harmonic.
Yes.
A way of being, bliss.
Yes.
And that is what beauty does. And a lot of these places, natural, the earth, these places that are absolutely still almost pure, have this harmony and beauty. And your body just get it. It doesn't, you don't even have to think about it. It's a powerful, powerful space to get us out of our minds, because we tend to, as Westerners especially, so much in the mind. I mean, I made my living from being in my little mind, following rules and regulations and laws. Yeah. I mean, and telling people how to do it. I mean, and that the power of beauty, is immense.
Yes.
And this is also this thing of like time is art. When we connect with beauty, immediately, we in the flow, and the heart is involved, because the heart and beauty, that frequency is very much the same. It's the same thing. So I just think, beauty is such an important thing to bring into life, and we've lost that in a way. It's not been valued. It's been kind of, yeah, it's nice, but that's not really important. Let's make lots of money. Actually, beauty is the real
The abundance.
abundance.
The abundance. Yeah.
It's an experience
Yeah.
of immense abundance, that nothing can ever give you, because you experience it within yourself. It's a connection.
Yeah, and it can literally take your breath away if you're in a space of, you go and, I mean, I used to say that I worked for travel because I love to travel all over the place.
Yeah.
But I saw that I was going away from where I live, and there's just so much richness in where I live too, like so much history, so many sacred places, all around. So
Wow.
where are we? Just like, so to kind of go with the story, I want to say I was in New York. Yeah, I had gone to New York. I got sent, and I used to be in corporate America too, so I was a little bit of that creative capacity. But it's like, I was in New York, and I stopped to ask this guy on the street how to get somewhere. And I think it was only a couple blocks away, but I had kind of gotten turned around, and I was with a friend of mine who was traveling with me also, from college. And so the guy says, oh, I don't know. I just go straight from my apartment straight here to my job.
Wow.
And I was like, wow,
no.
Like, what is, I was just kind of like, what is that? Because I grew up in nature, and I was always doing something. And I thought, wow, like, yes, New York is a big, amazing place. There's an energy just to that of creativity and other things, but
exactly,
you're like in the mecca of the world of some of the top, like, everything. And
very creative place. Yeah,
you're just going from your apartment straight there. It's like, and that was his day. And I thought, wow. I send
amazing
love to that sweet boy, because I hope that he finally, like, went out of that mind tricks. But where do people get in that, like, to where their everyday looks the same?
Yeah, exactly.
The mind tricks as well. It's like, go left if you always go right. Go if you get a ping to go to the coffee shop, go to the coffee shop. If you're supposed to drive up to the mountains, go do that. Like, listen to your body and Mother Earth and everything in the whole universe that is speaking to you.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah.
And what is it telling you to do right in this moment? We've gotten away from the right in this moment, because that's where we can always only be, right in this.
Totally. Yeah. The diversity. I live here in South Africa, in the area. It's called the biosphere. It's a Kogelberg biosphere. And we have the highest biodiversity in plants in the world. It's a very specific kind of vegetation, flowers and vegetation. And it's, I just did a hike yesterday because it's summer here. And, we went into this biosphere, which is like a nature reserve. Mm-hmm. And, just the amazing variety of plants. And we were talking about that. Nobody really knows why it's here, because of the ice age and stuff. It should have wiped out many of the species and stuff. So there's obviously something special that occurred here. But, it's such a, I suppose, for me, metaphor for life is to have the diversity in our lives. Diversity is life. It is. It's survival. It's essential. And I think we're starting to get that.
Yeah, I think people are starting to listen to that. And see. So tell me, do you have any trips on the horizon for sacred spaces?
So,
Kind of in a weird.
at the moment, everything is a little bit still kind of wait and see. But I've got a trip that's planned to Mexico in July,
Okay.
to go and visit the Mayan sites. That's in July. The Mayan calendar actually ends in July. It doesn't go from December to January or whatever. It goes from July to July. And then I'm hoping to do another trip to Egypt. And I'm quite excited about that trip. It's, my trips kind of happen. I never do the same thing again, almost. Every trip is different and unique. I think it's because I like it to be interesting for me too. And different times, there are different opportunities. And it's a different group of people. And so you go to the main sites, but there's always different. But the Egypt one, I'm planning to do a goddess trip with the goddess Sekhmet, and she's the lion goddess of healing.
Oh, nice.
So I haven't kind of worked with her energy for quite a while, but in the last trip that we did in December, it came up very strongly. And it's kind of working also with sacred sexuality and, the feminine, divine feminine. So I feel that Egypt, the feminine is really waking up there. So, and that's part of our awakening and the Earth's awakening. And there's some, how shall I say, keys that can be unlocked at this time, around that. So, yeah, I've got that. I'm not quite sure what the timing is of that, but yeah, we'll see.
Yummy. It's amazing.
So yeah, what else is possible?
Yeah, I'm hoping that I have big hopes and sending lots of energy contributions so that all this is opened back up, because it is about the connection. It is about the connection with all of us and also with Earth and everything else that we've gotten so far away from.
Yeah.
So now's the time, I think.
Beautiful.
Now's the time for that. Is there anything else you want to share about what you're doing or about what's coming up?
I think it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
It's such a great opportunity. I'm so grateful, and it's so lovely to talk to you.
Oh, absolutely.
And yes, I was saying that, we just before we went on, I saw us in an Italian lifetime together. So
yeah, and it's funny. I don't always have full memory of that, but the energy of it I get, and it's like I have.
You get it. You get it. Yeah.
Well, I have people tell me that.
And I just, it was such a lovely feeling. It was like, oh, I'm going to have a lovely cappuccino with her.
And the funny thing is, I haven't been to Italy yet. I think I was going to.
Yeah, the lovely thing, I know.
It kept getting switched.
Maybe it will translate into the future. And you are so beautiful. I mean, you look like a, Italian, how should I say, princess. So, yeah.
I'll never see that.
What can I say? Yeah. No, I was just saying, maybe the last thing I'd love to say is, my perspective is that from the Earth, she really would love us to be happy and joyful and have pleasure and be kind to ourselves. And, she doesn't really need our love. I mean, she totally appreciates it immensely. But I think she just wants us to really, have this beautiful energy in ourselves and bring that back. And with that, we're such an amazing contribution to the Earth. It's nice to save the whales and it's lovely to do all these other things. But actually, it's as simple as just in this moment, as you were saying, now is now is all there is to just really have fun and bring back the joy and pleasure of life. So, yeah, I think it's really important at this time for us to not forget about that. It's easy to get, hijacked into other things.
Yeah, that's
as well.
To do the unplug thing, because I think that might maybe spur some people who might not do that, because I planned to do it, and I was talking to my friends last night, and we were like, yeah, we're gonna just unplug. We're not gonna go with any narrative, because it's all just words, and we're gonna go with what energetically speaks to us. So maybe maybe we could do something like that together, or whatever. Or I'll be back in touch with you. But I think it could
be that would be lovely.
It'd be fun right now.
That's fantastic, and thank you so much. You are just an awesome inspiration. I love it. Thank you for the connection. Wow, it's so lovely I
love what you're doing.
To chat.
Yeah, I love what you're doing out in the world. It's just anytime I see stuff that you're sharing, there's an energy to it that's just.
Thank you, and thank you for receiving it, because it's so much fun to do it. So I'm glad. If one person can receive something from it, I'm so grateful.
Oh, great. So how do you want to tell people how to get a hold of you? And I can share that when we share that, but if you want.
I think the best is probably email. I'm on Messenger and WhatsApp, but maybe I can just give that to you. And
I'll share.
Yeah, and Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Yeah,
but she's got Storm Earth Movement.
It's always lovely just to have a chat. I mean, for me, I just love. That's why I think I do groups. Love the trips. I just love the social aspect of it as well.
Yeah. Yes.
It's just lovely to talk and communicate and learn from each other. We all need to share and remember together. So, absolute pleasure and most welcome. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, my darling friend, and lots of love to America and
and the world.
Be blessed.
Love to everybody around the world.